Hello everyone, here we are one more time. This is Sports Score 24/7, and what we have here is we got David Haye. I'm gonna tell you 5 opponents, possible opponents David Haye should go for instead of fighting Shannon Briggs. Even though he promised Shannon Briggs a fight, if but I seriously don't want to see it, man. Don't get me wrong. That's not the fight I want to see, man. So here we are. I'm gonna list my 5 opponents, possible opponents for David Haye at this stage. First one would be Bermane Stiverne. Stiverne's main selling point is that he's a former world, WBC world champ, and his reign didn't come end years and years ago. He may not have been the most formidable champion, but he won the vacant title by beating Chris Arreola and lost it in his first defense against Deontay Wilder last year. But his championship run makes him a marketable name. That's how I think. That's what I believe. It also means he can mix it up at world level, and would be a credible opponent for David Haye, who desperately needs a competitive fight. He's fighting some bombs, man, ever since his comeback. Bermane Stiverne is ranked number 2 by WBC, and he may also just be enough of a soft target for David Haye to go for. He looked poor in his last fight against Derek Rossi, and he was only beaten by Deontay Wilder last year. So that's my number 5. Thus, my number 4 would be, just let me see, this guy, man. This guy, Luis Ortiz, man. This guy is a fucking ass kicker, man. He's arguably the most dangerous and avoided heavyweight in the world right now. The Cuban southpaw carries, fucking tremendous power and smooth skills. And in recent outings, has dispatched Brian Jennings and Tony Thompson with relative ease. That makes him a big risk for, David Haye's plan to, secure a massive payday against Anthony Joshua. However, David Haye also a big threat to any world champion right now. Should take risks, if he's serious about getting a big fight. So this guy, Luis Ortiz, is my number 4. So I'm gonna tell you about my number 3 now. This fella, Kubrat Pulev. This Bulgarian is coming off a dominant decision win over David Haye former opponent Derek Chisora, which earned him a lofty ranking with the IBF, whose title Joshua holds. That instantly makes the 35-year-old an attractive opponent for David Haye, in my opinion. Pulev is also a very respected operator and holds some impressive wins, man. Although he was hammered in 5 rounds by Vladimir Klitschko in 2014, that was 2 years ago. He has his limitations, and David Haye is the sort of fighter who could exploit them. But at this stage, I don't think Pulev wants to take risk. Of course, Pulev may not wish to take a risk. His high rating and European title against someone like David Haye at this stage. In my opinion, like I say, David Haye has no bargaining power besides the decent purse he could offer. My number 2 would be none other than Dillian Whytt. Dillian Whytt pushed Joshua harder than anyone has in. His fight against Anthony Joshua was a great fight. Where he shook the future champion to his boots in second before he got brutally knocked out in the 7th round. I think the build-up and exciting fights raised Whytt's profile, and he returns from injury on June 25. He wants to have a couple of tune-ups before he jumps to the big guys, fight big guys. I personally want to see David Haye take on this fella. I think that's gonna be a great fight. Both are decent talkers and more than likely to grab a few headlines. You know, they both also come to win, and you know, fight between that, you know, with these two would be explosive. You know, I think it's gonna be something similar to, you know, David Haye versus Derek Chisora in 2012. Someone will get knocked out. And also if David Haye beats Dillian Whytt in a better fashion, you know, than Joshua did, so you know, he would hold bragging rights over the Olympic champion. You know, so but it depends. It depends. You know, if they want, if the fight ever take place, I really doubt it. You know, so let's go to number one. Number one is none other than my boy Deontay Wilder. You know, aside from a fight with Joshua, David Haye wants world titles. Wilder holds the WBC strap and find himself in limbo after, you know, mandatory challenger, you know, Alexander Povetkin, you know, failed a drug test just a week before the fight. You know, I think a fight with Deontay Wilder would be huge. You know, the pair are former sparring partners, and if the stories, you know, which don't come from David Haye himself, are to be believed, the Londoner gave Wilder a hiding. So I would be confident going in. So these are my top five. You know, I really want to see David Haye, you know, take one of these guys. You know, I don't want to see Shannon Briggs, even though I'm a big fan of Shannon Briggs, but I don't think Shannon Briggs is there at the moment. I think he's just too old, man, and I don't think.